Fitness and Finance, episode 08.
You have the desire, information, and understanding, but are still missing the steps to reach success. Welcome to Fitness and Finance, your guide to maximizing all areas of health and wealth to give you the quality of life you deserve. Brought to you by your host, Eric Smith.
Welcome back. Appreciate you listening, taking the time out of your day to listen to the show. And real quickly, before we get into today's topic, if you really enjoy what you hear, would love a rating and review and subscribe, whether it's on iTunes, Spotify. Would love that. Really appreciate it. And also, if you'd like to connect with me, set a time to talk on the website, www.fitnessinfinance.com, where you can schedule time to chat with me, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever the case may be. We can learn more about each other. I can learn about you. You're learning about me and my story. Love hearing about everyone and their stories and where they're going. So just thought I'd share that really quickly. But one of the things that I've come across in my life, noticed when studying people, whether people have been successful, unsuccessful, few common different things, one way or the other. And for those of you who are familiar with Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, you probably have heard the story about a gentleman who was 3 feet from gold. And so for those of you who haven't heard the story, obviously it'd be great, go read the book, great book. People's, it's one of the most, if not the most bought book of all time. So it's like, other than the Bible or something, it's something wild, and how many copies have sold of this book. But my point is that there's a story of a gentleman who, like during the gold rush, he and his uncle learned about, going out and digging and finding gold. They heard people that found gold and they had some success with it. And they went out, they dug, found some gold, and then they started to dig a little bit more. They needed more equipment, better equipment. So had to go and get some money and get some funding and go back. They're from the East Coast, went back to the West Coast to get some machinery and dig. And one of the things that happened is they thought they were going to find millions and millions of dollars worth of gold. Didn't find it. And they quit. And then they sold their equipment to another gentleman that thought it was junk. Basically, they only sold their equipment for a few $100s. And the gentleman who purchased the equipment from them decided, he said, hey, this isn't my area of expertise. I'm going to go in and get an engineer and, do some calculations. They went and did some calculations, and they saw it was like a fault line down in the middle where they were digging. And literally 3 feet from where the people had originally given up, there was all this gold, like millions and millions of dollars worth of gold. So there's a couple of things to this story. One, I've heard the story many times. A mentor of mine has shared it with me. They shared it in different trainings that I've been a part of, heard other people share the story, but they don't really get into what happens after. The after effect of the story of the gentleman who, quit and actually sold the machinery to the gentleman who found the gold. So the gentleman who quit found out that he was literally 3 feet from gold. So he said, you know what? That is never, ever, ever going to happen to me again. That was his lesson. And he went on to a career of selling life insurance. And so, interestingly enough, but by the time this episode airs, will be during September, which is Life Insurance Awareness Month. That wasn't really the reason for me to bring the story up, but it's kind of interesting. But my point is that he actually went on to become one of the most successful people in selling life insurance at that time, doing millions of dollars a year in selling life insurance, protecting families. So my point is that he said when he reached opposition, when he reached failure, he was going to blow past that and continue to go till he reached where he was going to go and be successful. And so he decided he would never give up ever again. He would not quit, and he would continue to persevere, and follow through on what he was doing. So most people really know about the story where he giving up 3 feet from gold and all that aspect of it. But then there's the other side of the gentleman who learned that lesson. Now I bring this all up because most people that I've seen, whether it was in life, whether it's in the business that I'm in, whether fitness-wise, health-wise, they have literally given up 3 feet from gold, didn't learn their lesson like the gentleman who did. And I'll give you a couple of examples. There are people that they go on their diets, to change lifestyle, especially when it comes to New Year's resolutions. They say, I'm going to change everything. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do all these different things to improve my quality of life because, I'm carrying around extra weight. I don't feel as good. I don't have the energy. So they make all these changes. They have a plan. They're going to, that's why the gym is so full the first few weeks of the year, because of people making these New Year's resolutions. So then what happens though with these people, they start to go and they start to feel the pain. They're sore when they work out. They're like, this lifestyle change of my diet is very difficult. It's not quote unquote quick and easy, that quick and easy fix. So it's difficult, so to speak, for them to maintain. So they reach these walls, these different challenges. They don't persevere and push through. So after a few weeks, people say it takes 3 weeks to build a habit. People say other things here or there, 90 days to build a lifestyle, whatever it is. The point is that once you hit opposition, once you hit failure, so to speak, people most of the time give up and they give in to that failure. And so they don't push through those workouts when they get tough, when they get challenging, when their body is sore. They don't feel like continuing to exercise that next day or 2 days later if they're doing 3 days a week or 5 days a week or whatever it is. But they don't stick to it. They don't build that consistency over time. They don't build a consistency with their lifestyle, eating and changes in their diet, so to speak. And one of the things with that is as they start to build traction, but before they can really experience the breakthroughs, because sometimes you'll get to a point and so, people who are in fitness, they'll tell you maybe after 30 days, you won't see any changes, but other people may. Other people will say, hey, you're looking a little, toned. Did you lose some weight? These different things, they'll give you a compliment. And you may say, I don't feel any different at all. I'm not noticing any differences. I see myself in the mirror. That's because we get used to seeing ourselves in the mirror. We don't notice those little changes. They're very small changes, but if someone hasn't seen you for 30 days, for them, it's a big change. Those little changes have added up every single day for 30 days to get to the point where it's a big change for that person and seeing you for the first time. And so people give up before they get to that. And sometimes after 30 days, when other people maybe have noticed it or something like that, they don't believe them, right? So they still continue. Then they go a few more days, a few more weeks. And another thing, they still don't see any results. So a lot of times people say it takes about 3 months before you really see those physical changes. And that, obviously is a case by case basis. Some people sooner, some people later. So it all depends. Everyone's different. Everyone's body is different. Everyone's situation is different. So it's not the same for every single person. So for some people, and that's the problem with us, is we compare ourselves a lot to other people and even ourselves and where we used to be, especially if we've matured in age a little bit, right? So if we've gotten a little bit wiser, maybe we're in our 30s, and we used to see changes very quickly when we were in our late teens, early 20s. We great shape, but it's a little more difficult, a little more challenging to see those results. So in those comparisons to ourselves and other people, we get frustrated, we give up 3 feet from goal before we really get through that breakthrough, whenever it is. And if we have that long-term thinking of, I am going to do this until I reach those results, no matter how long it takes, when it comes to our life, our business, our health, whatever the case may be. If we have that long-term thinking, then it doesn't matter how you feel, and it doesn't matter what you see, because you know that one day you will reach those goals, those dreams, those destinations that we're looking toward, fitness related, finance related. Another couple of stories when it comes to finances. There are people that I've met and, have had the honor and pleasure of working with over the course of many years and helping them with their finances. And so with them, I've seen some people who, consistently put money away, put money aside, been intentional, doing it, building that habit over years. And at first, they're not seeing as much growth. And then some people that have seen a lot of growth, depending on what they're doing. And the people that have stayed with it consistently over time, when we were looking at different ideas and what their goals were and obtaining these different goals and looking at charting the path along their financial journey, the ones that have stuck to it consistently over the last 3, 4, and even 5 years, a lot of them are ahead of where they thought they would be. And they surprised themselves. It even surprised me. I was like, wow, it's great that we're based on projections and things like that. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed. If anyone tells you they can do things guaranteed, they're lying to you. So that's one thing to note. But we are ahead of projections. So those people who have been consistent are they're on the path, and a lot of them are ahead because they've built that habit, that routine, and even they've made sacrifices on eating out or other entertainment and things like that to make those happen. And some of them have had emergency situations, different challenges and setbacks in their lives, but they still say, you know what, I'm going to continue to pay myself first. Like you hear a lot of other people out there financially talk about, especially Robert Kiyosaki. He was really big on that. A lot of people who, if you are familiar with Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad, talks about that a lot. So those people have consistently paid themselves first, are reaping the benefits of it. But then I've seen other people who for years have seen growth. They've seen growth, and then a challenge comes their way. They have a setback, and then they either pause what they're contributing to, they stop contributing, or they are starting to maybe pull money out or something like that. Now they're not letting that growth compound, right? It's you get to a point where you're building the habits, you're growing, you're having that grow, having your money grow, work for you. It's working for itself. But then you cut it short. You cut the tree down before it can fully grow and mature. And along those lines, there's a story about the Chinese bamboo tree. I'm sure many of you who really big into personal development have heard the story. And I've first heard Les Brown talk about it a few years back, and was an old tape. I saw the video on YouTube and other things. I've heard other people talk about it, and there are different variations. Forgive me if I get it wrong, those of you who really know, but I've seen other different stories talked about it. So the timeline may or may not be exact. My point is that with the story, for those of you who don't know of it, it's like you The Chinese bamboo tree takes a lot of time. You have to water it, make sure the soil's perfect, the climate conditions are perfect, maintain it every day, every day, every day, consistently, every single day for years. Now, there are some people that have, they said you don't see any growth for about 5 years, but then there's others where you may see a sprout here and there, and then you start to see another sprout here and there, but then it fully matures 5 years later in a matter of a few weeks. So, common question that people ask is like, did it take a few weeks for that tree to grow, or did it take the multiple years of consistent maintenance toward it, maintaining that compounding? And obviously it's that compounding years over years over years. So let's look at it like this. If someone is contributing to whether it's finances or their health, and maybe they're seeing some changes after a few months, let's say a few months or even a few years, they see some changes. And they're like, okay, I'm seeing some traction. Maybe they hit a winter season in their life, kind of sets them back a little bit. But they're like, you know what? I'm still going to push through and maintain and keep going and keep going, whether it's my finances, whether it's my health, my exercise, what I'm feeding and fueling my body. I'm going to stick to that and be consistent and have that discipline. So I know that long term, after 5 years, so to speak, I'm going to see tremendous results in my business and in my finances and in my health. So when people aren't consistent, they don't see that compounding growth that happens over time. It's like those little changes. We talked about it with a lot of guests on the show. Little changes, those habits that you develop over time that lead to tremendous results. And so I've also seen that in my industry, in my business, where there were people who started, whether they started around the same time as I did, whether they started after, whether they started before. A lot of them, I'm very honest, they did a lot better than I did. They took off, they understand the business aspect and helping families and all these different things. And for me, like, I didn't really know. I wasn't really big on development, personal development and all that. Had some confidence issues where I didn't feel comfortable getting outside of myself. I'm introverted by nature. I've shared this a lot of different times. My point is that they were very outgoing. So with them, the issue that they ran into is they would get really high on the highs and low on the lows. And it's like riding a huge roller coaster. They've got ups and downs emotionally in business. And maybe they shot out like the hare, like the tortoise and the hare story. So they exploded. I would see this. I'm like, wow, that was the problem. So I would feel insecure. Like, man, I wish I was more like this person. They're farther along than I am, that comparison. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to stick to it. I'm going to keep grinding. I'm going to keep grinding, as we hear all the time. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing it. I know at some point I'm going to get it. I've always been a long-term thinker. So I know great things are going to happen. And I've seen people, they fizzle out. They say, you know what? This wasn't meant to be. This wasn't for me. Then they start to settle. They start to come up with excuses of why or why not it was meant to be for them, whether they had different personal challenges, professional challenges, financial challenges, whatever it was. They stopped. They quit. They quit 3 feet from gold, because knowing where I've actually grown at a certain point, and it has taken time. I had some success early. I had some failures, have had some challenges, ups and downs in my business and in my life. But one of the things that I knew is that if I keep showing up, I keep putting in work, keep putting energy and effort and developing myself, I knew I was going to win. That's the thing. And another thing is I'm so competitive with myself that I know I'm going to win. So you have to believe that you're going to win. And you have to know that you're going to hit these challenges and hit these walls. And doesn't matter if people are farther along than you, their path is their path. Your path is your path. There's no one else like you in this world that's ever been created. There's only one you. Even twins, They both have completely separate experiences. They're not with each other every single minute of every single day of their lives, throughout their lives, maybe early on, but not as they reach their teens, their 20s, and their 30s. They experience life differently. They feel things differently. There may be some commonalities, but we are all different. We are all unique. We all have our unique paths, our unique paths in life. So along those lines, we just have to continue to push through so we don't get to the end of our lives and say, man, I was 3 feet from gold and I gave up and I quit. I should have, I could have, I would have, and things would have happened differently. And I've seen that. And as things have gotten better in my life, personally and professionally, people have reached out to me and congratulated me. And they said, great job. You're doing great. You deserve it. And, it feels great. Obviously recognition, people love recognition. But the thing is that the thing that makes me feel best about this is knowing that I've continued to go and grow and persevere and continue, and knowing that it's only the beginning. It's only the beginning. There's so much more we can do with our lives and ourselves, and we can continue to help each other grow and inspire each other to be successful in our lives and do better. And once we hit those setbacks, it's inevitable that it's okay. It's part of the journey. It's part of the process. Every successful person can tell you that success isn't in the absence of failure. It's a result of failure and failing over and over and over again until you get to success and you reach your breakthrough. So I just want to share that today. Hope you're enjoying your Friday. You have a great Friday, and look at your life and how you're examining your life and your thinking and saying, was I 3 feet from gold from this, instance in my life? But then learn from it. Maybe it was something that you gave up on and you're like, I wish I didn't give up on that. I wish I didn't change that. Learn from it. Just like the gentleman in the story of Think and Grow Rich, where, that next time around, once the opportunity comes, whatever it is, you take advantage of it and you learn from the mistakes and you learn from your lessons and you become successful. So I just wanted to share with that. Hope you're all doing great. Have a great day. And don't forget, if you really enjoying this helps you in any way, shape, or form, would love if you tag me on Instagram and even Facebook with Eric Eugene Smith on Instagram and Eric Smith on Facebook. And that's with a K, Eric with a K. So you can find me there, tag me in your story. You screenshot this, tag it in your story, and I will, instant message you. Let's connect. Let's set a time to talk on the calendar. I want to learn more about it, is what you're doing, what you're struggling with, what you're going through, and what's challenging you, and how we can, work together and help each other out, so I can be that support for you, because this is how I look at it. If you're listening to this show, you're supporting me. I want to return the favor. It's a two-way street. Even though you hear me talk, it's a two-way street. Let's talk, let's communicate, and see if there's any way I can help you. And if I can't help you directly, maybe I know someone who can help you. I can, I can introduce you to, and, let's do this. Maybe I can share some tools, some tips, some tricks that I've learned along the way. And maybe you can do that with me. You can share some things with me and we can talk and we can learn. So I appreciate the time. And don't forget to reach out and connect. www.alsofitnessandfinance.com. And until next time, enjoy the rest of your day.